The book that we are reading today is a book by Jericho Sunfire, and it's called A Story of a Breatharian Warrior. Not a warrior, a warrior. So let us begin and let us continue. I have clear duties, for sure. I have been guided with such precision and perfect timing. People have been put in place at perfect points with perfect words. I feel like I'm a universal soldier on a tour of duty and must complete my tour and mission before I can come home. People I love dearly have been taken out of my life because they will be a distraction, and my own emotions have been protected. Money has been held from me so that I stay in certain places. I'm being guided by a power that already knows me and my path. Well, I never had any spiritual knowledge or background. I learned it in ignorance, I think. I had no one to tell me the real deal. I had to just figure it out. I've been through some tough initiations and tests. The ultimate test has been going through the transition from cooked food to breatharian. I feel Breatharianism is the goal and is a sign to me that this is my final reincarnation. Most of this journey has been about seeing the world for what it really is. It's been extremely hard, and I really wish I could give you a candy-coated story of this journey, but I can't, because my journey wasn't sweet or a pleasure. It was hell on earth for various reasons. But it was a journey that I had to take if I wanted to break free from the cycle of sickness and disease. And I would gladly take it again. And if I was to take my journey again, the only thing I would do different is I would keep my mouth shut. I think that's when everything went crazy. In the grand scheme of things, food is such a small part of life when compared to the importance of being happy and spiritually aware. But so many people use food to gain that happiness, when the truth is, it only brings misery. But for some, it is all that they have. So what's next for me? Well, I want to live. Live life to the fullest. Live hard, love hard, and just be who I am at any given moment. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not a teacher or a guru. I have nothing to prove. I'm simply an example of the possibilities. People will always try to ask questions and give me guru status, but I'm not having all of that crap. To me, that's just setting me up for someone else to try to tear me down. I'm tired of dealing with that type of energy, and I'm not interested in satisfying anyone's curiosities, especially with strangers and people with no intention of doing anything about living the lifestyle. It's just too draining answering everybody's questions and still getting cussed out anyway. So now I just live my life doing what I want because I realize that I gotta be happy. And I think that with all the hype, people forget that I have a life to live. I have so much more fun just doing my thing. I don't feel the need to broadcast what I do anymore, or to be such an open book. To me, going breatharian was a 4-part personal and spiritual journey, which was more like a coming-of-age initiation. So I'm not going to make it all science fictional and go on about teleportation. Oh, I see that rhyme. Etc. But I feel that the possibilities are endless for me, and I no longer believe in limitations. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that I have reached any spiritual enlightenment or I am any better than anybody else. but I have become a better man for this whole experience. I have learnt so much over the years, and now I am done with all the experimenting, monitoring, and will simply want to live life as a regular human being. Yes, I said regular, because to me, this is the regular state of humans. My main wish is that people get to see that there are plenty more possibilities that can be explored. As for me, I try not to think too much about things anymore. I see you. Okay, poet. What happens will happen, and it will probably be what I create between my mind and body. As for the future, this is it. I don't intend to do anything else or live any other way. I'm not going to promise that no food or liquid will ever pass my lips again. I'm just not that type of breatharian. I'm happy just to live in the moment and without restriction. I'll leave all the Karate Kid stuff to the other people that are not living the lifestyle that always want to put that kind of pressure on. Since going breatharian, I've come to see the new body as a lighthouse with a never-ending powerful beam of light, trying to reach out as far as it can. And the lighter and cleaner the body is, the further out the light can reach. And I've come to see anything that is put into the body as an off switch that puts the light out. Does this mean that you will never see me eating a veggie burger and fries or having a glass of juice? No, it does not. Because I never say never, and I would not be where I am today if I lived by restriction myself. If I lived like that, then I would be in some mental ward with padded walls somewhere. But seriously, will I ever be munching on a veggie burger? Probably not. I thrive as a breatharian, and I want to be breatharian, and I will do whatever I need to do to maintain a food-free life if that's what I want to do. I still go out and into pubs, fast food joints, and so on, because I still have friends and loved ones that eat cooked foods. So if you see me walking out of some fast food joint, do not go running to the raw food boards and forums on the internet screaming, I told you he was a fake! Ah! It could just be me simply using the toilet or getting change. The chance of it being me slipping up would be very small, because once the body goes through the physical change, it is really not an option, or not an easy option, to go back and forth. It is a completely different ballgame once you go through the physical change. Now, I will definitely attest to that. Definitely agree that once you've gone a certain length of time or a certain duration into a different vibration, and it feels like your organs, your body has changed, things have been restructured, it feels like your DNA is different, like at a molecular level, a cellular level, a cellular level, your body is different, your physical structure is different. Going back feels like torture. Like to go back, just like Brother Jericho is saying, I never told myself I wouldn't eat solids again either. I haven't done that to my inner child and say, no, this will never happen again. But in the past, like over 2 years ago, when I tried to go back and forth to solid foods, it was painful. Like, it was super painful to the point where I was really contemplating, why would I do that again? So my body was screaming, it was screaming like I had poisoned myself. And it was with things that used to be pleasurable for me. Like what used to be pleasure was now poison. What used to be terrific was now toxic. And I wasn't understanding what was going on. I was like, do I need to go to the hospital? Like, do I need to call 911? Like, what is going on with my body? And it's just like the brother is saying here. once you go through the physical change, it's not easy to go back. You can go back, but I feel like that would be a total adjustment. And the reason why is because we've already made the adjustment. When you think about it, from a baby going to just eating liquid foods, like liquidy foods, and then transitioning to solid foods, like we already made the transition. So when you make the transition out of that and go back and revert back, then that's another transition. So if you want to go back to solids, that's going to be another transition. It's like, do you want to make that? Like, you can, but do you want to? So when people ask me, hey, Jerome, will you ever eat again? I'm like, hey, never say never, but there's no desire. There's really no fire to go back. I'm not in a hurry. Yeah, I'm not in a rush to go back to solid food. It is still nice for me to fool myself into thinking that on occasion, I can be free and open enough to allow myself the pleasure of enjoying some cooked food and going back to Breatharianism. But the truth is that it just doesn't work like that anyway, due to the physical changes. Going 100% fruitarian showed me that as far as eating food for pleasure is concerned, you cannot go into changing your diet unprepared or lighthearted, because there's simply so much more to our diet and why we eat than meets the eye. Also, there is much that we do not question. We simply go on with life, feeding our addictions and emotions. Addictions and emotions that many of us don't even realize we have to deal with. Anybody that really knows me knows that I don't recommend anybody going fruitarian, liquidarian, or breatharian at the drop of a hat. That's a personal choice that is up to the individual to decide if they want to go through all the turmoil that comes with it. I always tell people that ask about it, research, and be sure they know what they are getting into, and to be very, very careful, because if they have any mental issues like depression, anxiety, etc., going 100% fruitarian, liquidarian, or breatharian and cleansing will bring it to the surface quick, fast, and in a hurry. I have seen people jump in feet first, get beat up by the detoxification symptoms, and turned into mental cases in a heartbeat before they even knew what hit them. I say, if you absolutely must go 100% fruitarian, liquidarian, or breatharian, be prepared for an emotional fight, a fight that may last years and will change you forever. But it's a fight that will get easier as you cleanse and persist. Everyone's detox experience is different, depending on their past eating habits, but at some point, it's going to get tough. It may not be at the same time as tough as mine, but it will express itself clearly, eventually. It's all relative to how you actually go fruitarian, liquidarian, or breatharian. Some people will swear that they are 100% and have never been through a detox, but that's probably because they are still eating fake raw foods or gourmet recipes with dressings, oils, or doing something that they are not aware of that is surprising. They're purging. Trust me, when you transition properly, meaning when you go from cooked foods or raw gourmet recipes to whole fresh fruits in their raw state, and if your body is in good working order, then you will get a good butt-whooping detox. Hold on. In no time. So he said you will get basically a good ass kicking, like we say, a good butt-whooping detox in no time. When I was breatharian and all that heavy physical detox was done, I felt like I'd come full circle. I'd come over my major hurdles, and I felt that I could speak about my own experience with added confidence, knowing that it is my own truth and no one can take that away from me or dispute me. I knew that no one could tell me that they have the secrets to going 100% Fruitarian, Liquidarian, or Breatharian. I now know that all your personal secrets are inside of you, and it's up to you to take the time to learn about yourself. If you don't take that time to learn anything about yourself, then you are wasting your time and will keep hitting brick walls at every turn until you quit running away and go within. I learned that going Breatharian, Fruitarian, or Liquidarian is just a matter of going closer to your original state and getting in tune with your body. And you will only know what that original state is and when you go within and have your own personal experience. So you'll only know from your own personal experience, your own unique journey. When people find out what I do, they are shocked to see that I'm thriving. In fact, most people go straight into calling me a fake and a fraud. But to me, when I look back, it has all made perfect sense. The truth is that now, after all that time transitioning, I've made it to the other side. I'm not weak and wasting away, barely able to walk. I am thriving and having a blast, throwing myself around the exercise stations at the local park. It's been tough, but totally worth it. And it's all been possible because it was naturally what my body and soul wanted to do, and I went with it. It's like we don't realize that after all these years, we have been doing things against the true nature of our body and soul and stopping it from doing its real work. One of the biggest breakthroughs after my transitioning period ended was finding out that I had an intuition that I could go within and consult about my health and divine life purpose. And by incorporating my knowledge of my life path with my lifestyle change, I was able to gain valuable insights about the possibilities of Breatharianism. Doing this enabled me to learn that we know absolutely nothing about our bodies. Not us, not the scientists, nobody. Now, this is very interesting what he's talking about, learning to go within, because I remember being in a Vipassana retreat. We were doing Vipassana meditation where we meditated for 10 hours a day for 10 days. A group of us, it was like 30 of us. And in the end, it was only like 25 of us. Like I think a few of us left during the retreat because it was a little too much. It was like mental surgery. It was like mental surgery. 10 hours a day just sitting down with yourself. 10 hours a day for 10 days straight. Like you are on the operating table and you are the surgeon. And I was going deep inside the recesses of my mind, and just my imagination was so awakened and so vivid, so vibrant. Once again, it was like I was lucid dreaming in the daytime. And it took me back to my inner childhood. And I was able to go in my mind and do things that I hadn't done in so long, like in decades, literally decades. I was doing stuff in my mind and exploring my mind in a way that I had not explored in so many years. And I don't want to blame technology or blame other distractions. It wasn't a priority for me at a certain point. But when I went back inside my mind that way and went deep, really went deep, I started probing myself and asking myself deep questions. And I even vividly conjured up like a therapist in a room with a psychologist, like a counselor room. And I was sitting in a chair in front of my therapist, and I was just talking to them about things that I never told anyone, like emptying my heart, emptying myself with things that I never admitted, things that I didn't want to acknowledge, things that I tried to run away from, things that were depressing, that were stressing, that I was never confessing. So I was expressing all of this in my mind. And it was very liberating. it was like I was healing myself from the inside out. So what he's saying about incorporating the knowledge and finding your own intuition, going within and consulting yourself about your own divine life purpose. These questions that need answers, we can actually ask ourselves. When we really go deep, we don't have to ask anyone else. Like, you have all the answers. And that's what I realized when I was really going deep. I realized, wow, I have all the answers inside me. It's all in me. So, yeah, that was just a memory that just came back up for me. Nothing in my life had come anywhere near to making sense until I found this fact out for myself. I strongly recommend anybody who feels drawn to go Fruitarian, Liquidarian, or Breatharian, get in touch with an intuitive reader, get to know their personal purpose and who their guides or guardian angels are. If you want to make sense of your life, you must learn about yourself, your life purpose, and why you are on this planet. Getting to know your life purpose is vital. I always knew I was different. I knew I had certain gifts, but I simply saw them as negative family traits. I never once thought of them as gifts or tools that were given to me for a specific purpose. To this day, the thought of me actually being on this planet to be a positive influence and to help our civilization uplift themselves still throws me for a loop. The mere fact that I was selected and given these tools even before I was born just blows my mind. Nothing in my life made sense until I found this out. Life is so much easier when you know your divine purpose, because you'll realize why you do certain things or act in certain ways at certain times. You'll find out what stops you from making progress in life. And you'll also get rid of that nagging feeling of not fitting in anywhere or not being accepted, because you will learn that you are unconditionally loved by a higher power within, and that you've always had a team of helpers protecting and loving you unconditionally. Yeah, it reminds me when I was reading Jasmine Heen's book, Food of the Gods. Yeah, Food of Gods. She always talked about the DOW. She called it the Divine One Within. And when I was learning more about what I feel is my life purpose, I was asking those questions during that Vipassana retreat, like, what am I here to do? Like, what should I do when I leave here? Like, after these 10 days are over, what are my next steps? What should I do? I was asking myself, and I remember it was telling me to keep doing what I'm doing right now. It said, do more. Keep spreading the message, keep speaking to people, keep making the choice to use your voice. But do more, like do it every day. Do all that you can, So I made a vow to myself before I left that Vipassana retreat that I would do that, that I would do all that I could to the best of my ability to keep spreading these messages. Everybody's story is different, but I think you catch my drift. It's important that you know that whatever your interpretation or belief system you always have a higher power watching over you and preparing you for the day you decide to take up your own personal calling. Accepting your calling is only the beginning. The real work is walking on your path and having the courage to be trusting and open to the idea of getting outside help instead of quitting when things get rough. I'm sorry, but I'm totally sold hook, line, and sinker on the whole spiritual guides, higher source, universal calling thing, and the idea that we are spirits having a human experience on this planet. What the purpose of that experience is, who really knows? I just know that there's more to our existence on this planet than we know. In fact, if you are reading this book thinking all that's rubbish and that all this air and sunshine has finally made me lose my mind, try this out. Close your eyes. count to 10 in your head. Don't count out loud using your mouth. Don't talk. Just count by using your mind and counting in your head. Now, when you reach the number 10, open your eyes and tell me, how were you hearing yourself counting out loud without moving your mouth or lips? What was that voice in your head? And where on earth did it come from? Wow. Can we just take a pause right there? I love that. I love that question. One of my friends was telling me, his name is Lamb, legend already made. Lamar Sanchez. He was telling me one day, and he got through this, I'm sure, not by reading, but by through his own self-inquiry, his own observation, kind of like Muji or, those saints. And he was the guy who would wear and still wears a lot of pimp outfits, a lot of, luxurious and just very flamboyant, very just fashionable. He's a fashion icon. And one day he was wearing something and he had a cane. And I remember he said, Jerome, he said, look at this cane. And I looked at the cane, I said, okay. He said, what is this? I said, it's a cane. He said, okay. Now tell me what this is, but don't say it. Just say it in your mind. I was like, okay. He said, whatever that voice was that you said that with, listen to that. He was like, who was that voice that said that in there? Listen to that. I said, oh. And I meditated on that for so long, right? It was like an epiphany. It was like a sudden realization. Who is the one aware of your awareness? Who is the one observing your observation? Who is the one hearing when you're not speaking? Who is that one? Who is the one? It's like the untethered soul. Who is that? I am that. So, yeah, it's very existential, right? Very philosophical for sure. I got the calling in my late 20s, and I was completely unaware of anything. I was just seeming to amble on in life. I now believe that nothing was coincidental, and everything before that calling was preparation for what I was about to go through. And boy, did that preparation come in handy. So many people are looking for answers, secrets, and quick fixes to life, that in the process of searching, they are missing the fact that the very thing they are looking for so hard is already right there within them. We as human beings are really so simple, and it's my belief that we make life so complicated because we think we are the master species on this planet. We have added all these super high-tech gadgets and materialistic distractions to our lives. In fact, I don't even believe that some of us are of this planet because of our poor connection with nature in comparison to the animals in the wild. I say this because how many animals in the wild have built airplanes, cars, washing machines, etc.? None. What is it in us? What is it inside us that feels the need to manufacture and create technology like we do? Why are we not happy simply to be, as the animals seem to be? As humans, we are not naturally mentally or physically prepared for nature in the same way as animals are. To spend time out in nature, we need to, again, manufacture, buy special gear and equipment just to live out in nature. when all animals have is the fur or scales on their backs. And speaking of men in white coats, humans are not being of this planet. Humans not being of this planet, animals having fur and scales, it makes me giggle because we as humans talk about aliens being from outer space. But let's look on our own doorstep. Go to any zoo and you will see creatures that look like they just stepped out of the latest Star Wars set. You have animals with horns, big shaggy coats, stripped skin, and the list goes on and on. So, as usual, we are looking outside, far, and wide for something that is right under our nose. Now, I know that my views and opinions about food and spirituality may sound far from normal, to say the least. But see, in my mind, I'm the normal one, and everybody else is crazy. It boils down to this: no matter what you or anyone else may think or say about me, this is my personal journey. I'm the one that got the calling to go this way. So for anybody to try to make sense of what I do is simply a waste of time, because none of the answers will make sense or add up. When you're on your own personal journey, then I'm sure things will make perfect sense, and all of the parts of the jigsaw will fit snugly, and it will do so because it is your journey. So if you don't understand why I do what I do, or how I do it, then don't sweat it, or go on the attack. It is simply what it is. It is what it is, and remember, I never asked to be this way, or chose to be this way, so I could get bragging rights. I chose this way because it felt natural and right for me to continue to ignore my intuition and universal calling to get off cooked foods. I'm simply buying into the bondage and enslavement of myself, my loved ones, family, and friends. In my opinion, getting off of cooked food, to me, is key to everything, period. As I go through life, visiting old friends and family, I get lots of concern, comments, and questions, because people just cannot get their heads around the whole not eating thing. They believe that we need to eat to live, or we will drop down dead. The thing with that is that most of my friends and family have awful diets. And so to say that if you don't eat, you will die takes on a whole new meaning to me. Because it's not like you're talking about food with any nutrition in it. You're talking about donuts, pizza, burgers, ice cream, fizzy drinks and soda, cookies and fried fast food, etc. Now this is my thing. So knowing what food we are talking about, are you telling me that if you stopped eating these processed foods, such as donuts and all the above, that you are completely dead nutritionally? You will suddenly drop down dead? Knowing what I now know, I find that really hard to believe. The body lives and survives on processed foods at all. It is my personal belief that the body gets on with life in spite of cooked food and not because of it. I don't believe we are even close to being our true selves while on cooked foods. Cooked food insulates us from our soul. I mean, how on earth can a man-made donut really enable a human to live? If that was really the case, we could simply make anything up and live, or in fact, we would simply just need to keep making donuts and nothing else, because we wouldn't need anything else. Fruits are the same too. They are so messed up, we now have to watch out for fake fruits and veggies that have been altered, bred to not reproduce, have a longer shelf life, or not have certain nutrients. Fruits that actually have nutrition would be like steroids to us if we really got nutrition from cooked and processed foods, or any food. So to me, the whole "we need food to live" thing makes no sense at all. I believe the body has the ability to do whatever it needs to survive, in spite of cooked or raw food, and not because of it. I think what we do as a society and how we eat and live gets in the way of what the body really wants to do. I also think that we really have no idea of what the body is really capable of because we are so dumbed down and desensitized because of our lifestyle. For me, I have to ask, what powers our breathing, our heartbeat? What is the source of that voice within us that we know as thought, our spirit? I know for a fact that food doesn't have anything to do with any of these things at all. Because if it did, there would be no need to try to find the secret of life, because we would already have the answers and have created it in the form of cookies, etc. And then everybody's quest would be over, and there would never be any sickness or disease. There would be no need for any hospitals, doctors, pharmacies, because everyone would be eating food, therefore getting from the food they eat. But it's not working like that, is it? It's not working like that, is it? We still have sickness and disease, even though we manufacture all this great cooked food. We even manufacture fruits to be a certain way. We all have our callings, and one thing I've always said about going breatharian is that if you're going to do it, you can't be a wallflower. You've got to have testicles the size of watermelons if you're going to dare to be different and come anywhere close to being successful. Not only because of the negative reactions from others, but because the whole getting off of cooked foods, putting the work in to be successful, cleansing, detoxing, breaking down and rebuilding the body back up, thing is really hardcore and bigger than life itself. And yes, there's the people that may help or hinder you with their own fears and negativity. This is one of those situations where you really will find out who your friends are, because everything in society revolves around food. And once you take the pleasure of food out of the mix, most people will no longer have anything to relate to or hide behind, and will scatter under the nearest rock like roaches. Having said all that, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again and wouldn't change a thing. Why? Because this was the right thing to do, and I learned a ton from the experience. I can't blame the food industry or any other industry for my health going bad. If I'm still stuffing donuts down my neck, I can't blame the industry or any other industry for my health going bad if I'm still stuffing donuts down my neck. The change has to start with me and only me. I can't expect the medical industry to bail me out because I ignored my body's signals to make a change, because I'm worth more to them sick. It has to be me that takes accountability and that takes action. So if you're feeling drawn to raising your consciousness, improving your health by getting off of cooked foods, then spend some time going within. Follow your gut instincts. You've read this book and you now know what's the worst you can expect. Now ask yourself if you have what it takes and if this is what you really want. You may need to ask your higher power to guide you, but please give it careful thought and make sure you know what you're getting into. At the end of the day, we all need to look after ourselves and realize that we are divine beings. We are gods, goddesses, kings and queens. We have been conditioned to look good, but feel crap and value material objects more than the health and condition of our bodies. Well, I'm here to tell you to quit that mess and realize your own inner beauty and strength in its greatest form. And you need no one's approval or validation because you live by no one's standard but your own. If you see something about yourself or in areas of your life, such as neglected health and fitness, then by all means, Don't be scared off by naysayers and doubters. Dare to be different. And take action today, because you are truly worth every single minute, because you are a divine being. A god, a goddess, a king, a queen. Don't let anybody tell you or treat you different. So cherish yourself and others around you. I hope this book has helped you see past the BS, romance, and idealism of going fruitarian and beyond. I know it hasn't been the most positive book in the world, but at the end of the day, it is my story, and I can only tell it like it happened. It has been tough, and I feel it is important to include the good and the bad, because without the bad to learn from, I wouldn't be here to tell the tale. I'd still be eating cooked food, taking the easy way out. I didn't learn anything from the good stuff, but I'm thankful for both. Our society is on a suicide mission. Most people go through life on cooked food, knowing what they are eating is bad for their health, but they cannot stop or break away from doing it. And I've seen many people that would rather die of cancer than stop smoking or die of liver damage rather than stop drinking alcohol. I didn't want to go through life knowing that I was the one that was killing myself. I wanted to get back in control and live a real life as a real person and not a dumbed down clone. So I fought to make a change. I sincerely hope that you will have the desire to do the same. This book has been written for you to take with you as a companion on your journey. I love you. Jericho Sunfire. And that's it. That is the end. Those were literally the last words. I love you. Those were his last words in the book. So this was, once again, a book by a gentleman named Jericho Sunfire. The book is called A Story of a Breatharian Warrior. And we just finished. We just concluded the series. Now, I was just reading Excerpt, so there definitely were a few bits in between that we didn't cover for all of these readings, but you can find that if you want to go and find the PDF. I offer that on our website. We have a website for you. It's called patreon.com/pranic path. So if you want to learn more about pranic living, all things about this lifestyle, once again, that website is called patreon.com/pranic path. And you can check that out there. Over 20 books and counting, still going for you, your reading pleasure. Also tons of audios and visuals for your listening and viewing pleasure from people of all dynamic, different backgrounds, different customs, different cultures that are living this way of life and have a lot of wisdom to give. So this was just another reading as we've been proceeding. Some more wisdom from the ages, from some of today's modern sages. Much love. This has been Jerome Shaw on the Pranic Pages.